So there's a fine line between being prepared and being paranoid, and some people call preppers hoarders. But are they the same thing? Today we're breaking down the truth, prepping versus hoarding, and the difference could mean the survival of you and your family. But before we get into today's video, if you're serious about being a provider and protector for yourself, your family, and your community, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. With that, let's jump right in. So let's start out with what these two words actually mean. Prepping is intentional preparedness. It is storing up those necessary supplies like having freeze-dried food or long-term stable food. It's having access to clean water. It's getting things like first aid supplies, medical supplies, or emergency communications, all those kinds of things so that you and your family can survive. It's intentional, it's purposeful, and you're thinking through those likely or possible scenarios that you may face. That's what prepping is. Hoarding, on the other hand, is driven by fear and compulsion. It doesn't have a purpose, there's no plan, you're just accumulating stuff, often to the point of waste. And so one of these, prepping, is driven by wisdom. The other one is driven by fear and compulsion. So the biggest difference between prepping and hoarding really comes down to motivation. Preppers will make out a plan for what they need based upon realistic scenarios. So if you live in an area that is more prone to natural disasters like hurricanes or tornadoes or flooding, things like that, well, then you're going to make a plan for those various scenarios. But you may also be thinking about other realistic scenarios like EMP attacks or a grid down situation or a situation without the rule of law. All of those things could be a realistic factor that could affect you and your family. Hoarders, on the other hand, buy out of panic. If you remember the 2020 pandemic, and a lot of people went out and bought a lot of toilet paper, that's not prepping, that is panic buying. And so prepping is motivated by responsibility, and hoarding is motivated by fear. Another big difference that I see between prepping and hoarding comes down to organization. Preppers should, at least, have their supplies organized. They're checking the expiration dates. They're rotating their food supplies. They're knowing where everything is, so if they need it, they can grab it and go. Hoarders, on the other hand, it's just stacks of stuff everywhere. It's just piled up. There's no organization about it. And this is a big issue for a lot of people. And so a prepper says, I'll use this wisely when needed because I know where it is. A hoarder says, I'm just going to put it somewhere just in case. Preparedness isn't just about you, it's about a community. And we make this point all the time in this channel that we will be providers and protectors not only for ourselves, but also for our families and our communities. Preppers are wanting to help others. Preppers want to share knowledge and skills so they can build community resilience. Hoarders, on the other hand, often isolate, and they want to just keep everything for themselves. From a moral or even biblical standpoint, prepping is about stewardship. It's recognizing that every gift that we have comes from God's hand, and therefore He owns everything. We're just the stewards of what He's given us, and therefore it should be used for the good of ourselves and of others. Hoarding, on the other hand, tends toward greed and selfishness, and because of that, it dishonors God because you're not seeing how you can bless others. It's all about keeping for yourself. Prepping, on the other hand, honors God with what He's given us. So how do you make sure that your prepping doesn't turn into hoarding? Well, one is to have a plan and stick to it. You want to have purpose to your preps. You want to have purpose to the things that you store so that they could be used in those realistic scenarios. And so part of it is thinking through those realistic scenarios and purchasing those things that will really help you and your family and others in that kind of environment. And I'll also suggest getting your family and your community involved. So it's not just an isolated thing. You're trying to help others see the importance that if something did happen, some crisis, something went down, and everyone's not coming just to your house and knocking on your door, that they also are prepared and that they can take care of themselves and that there could be a mutual benefit and mutual community resilience. So prepping is wisdom, hoarding is fear. One builds stability, the other builds clutter. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Please drop your comments down below, questions that you have down below. We really thank you so much for your support for us and for our channel, and we'll see you on the next video.